What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Creative Exchange. Today, I'm with my friend Max. Max, how are you doing?
Do you know what? I'm doing very well. New York. It's so good to be back in New York.
Yeah.
I always hate leaving it. Leaving tomorrow morning, and unfortunately, with the weather like this, it's so hard to leave.
You travel the world, but what would you say New York is on the list? Like, if you ranked?
If I ranked, I'd have to like give it a subcategory instead of like one big ranking. I'd like have to categorize it into the cities category, because I feel it's unfair to compare it to say like Mozambique or Bali or something like that. And it's extremely high. Like it's oh my God, you can have so much fun.
I love it.
Like
There's
even
so
like
much.
when you have a problem with one of your Apple products, you can go to Fifth and you can 24/7 Genius Bar. Like that to me is everything right there.
The Genius Bar.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here in New York, guys.
Yeah, that's
the
why I
Apple
enjoy-
stores.
Literally come from the Apple Store 2 days in a row now, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Max is on a journey to visit every country in the world. That's like your goal, right?
That's the big goal.
And you have a new series on YouTube called 737 Max that is documenting this journey. So how many countries have you visited so far, and what is next on this journey?
So far, the count now is 102 countries. So I'm over the halfway mark. Depending on, people always ask like how many countries there are in the world, and it depends what you kind of your own personal like class as a country. But if you go by what the UN categorizes as a country, it's 196. So there's still a couple to go. The interesting one now is that usually the first 50 to 80 countries are the easy ones. You know, they're the common touristy kind of first world, a lot of Europe, all that. It's the ones after that it gets difficult. It's like the Seychelles, it's the Congo, it's the Mali, it's the Brunei, the difficult ones to get to. So the next part of this journey is going to be probably an awful lot more adventurous than the first half.
And tell me about this new series that you have. Is it just focusing on countries in Europe and exploring that via that?
Yeah. So I'm doing collaborating with Ryanair, which is a European airline. They're one of the world's biggest airlines. The first, the first big low-cost carrier. And so they approached me. They saw I started vlogging, and they were like, listen, we want to kind of, come to the new age where we're blogging, but we're not vlogging. So they gave me an open passport to visit any of their 215 destinations. And so I was like, do you know what? Like, there's a couple of countries that I need to hit, that I want to hit, so I can play that in pretty well as well. And a couple of festivals I want to go to. So like Distortion, this like huge, outrageous street music festival in Copenhagen. There's a cheese rolling festival. Oh my God, Sarah.
What?
Even if you don't like cheese.
I love cheese.
This is the most...
I'm the type of person that will eat cheese by the block, like sharp cheddar cheese.
Okay, well this is and isn't the festival for you. We got to imagine like the steepest double black diamond you have. No snow, just grass, nettles, and small pebble stones. You start at the top with like 20 participants. They have this huge cheese wheel that they roll off the top, and you sprint down after it.
That's not what I expected.
No, honestly, Sarah, it's the most lawless activity I've ever probably done. It's insane. So, like to keep it short, I got there. And there's 3 races. I got there and we were a little bit late. So we're like, you know what, we'll watch the first one, see if there's any techniques. Looks a little bit dangerous, which kind of has an appeal to me, but we'll chill out and watch it. The first 2 people that came down, they were unfortunately lifeless bodies. They were completely knocked unconscious from the first 20 meters, first 60 feet, and they rolled the whole way down, like barrel down. I mean, arms like whacking inflatable arm inflating tube man, just like flailing down this hill, and then they regained consciousness.
And you still did it after you saw that?
I did it twice. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, well, one of my mottos is a life lived in fear is a life half lived. So I usually go things full throttle and jump and then decide where to land.
I love that.
But this situation
so
was,
much.
I started initially at the back of the pack because I had like shooting a POV shot with a GoPro in my mouth, and like a third of the way down I was like, do you know what, like screw this, I need to win this. And like I'm pulling people getting there, like it's the video kind of does it justice. So yeah, you'll see.
That is insane.
Yeah.
You have a special way of documenting where you've gone and what you've done. How do you do that?
So apart from filming and creating content around everything that I try to do.
Yeah, you vlog, Instagram, all of the things that I guess people are kind of used to. But you do have a unique way to just kind of like journal it.
Yeah, that's right. So iCal, Google Calendars, for me, it doesn't work too. It's just not the best for me. Quick glance, I can't see everything that I'm doing or where I'm going or even quickly where I've come from. So notes on the iPhone, super simple. I have this thing called a travel emoji list, and every single day is accounted for. What I'm doing, where I am is noted. And then emojis to kind of describe the experience, but then also the country flag at the very end. So I've been doing this for about 4.5 years. Looking forward is my itinerary, and looking back it's my diary. So like, say for example, we go in here, like say Swaziland, it's got a tick, so it was a new country for me. The bus, I spent hours on a bus. I went horseback riding safari, like chasing these zebras. It's ruled by a king. There's these warthogs running around everywhere. My phone didn't work. And then the most tribal flag out of all of them in the world, the Swaziland flag. So for me, looking back at it, it's so nice being able to like see where I was on every single day for the last 4.5 years, for tax purposes, for like working out how many days I physically spent in each country on that given year, everything like that. And the best, Sarah, say for example, we hadn't seen each other in a while and you're like, listen, want to catch up, want to hang out, where are you for the next 3 months? Usually I'd be like, oh my gosh, okay. Just like typing it out. I am going to be here, then here. Nightmare. Here, screen grab, send, done.
You mentioned taxes.
Yeah.
As a person who doesn't have a physical address, how
does that work? So it definitely works in my benefit. It's similar to living in Monaco, living maybe in certain parts of Switzerland, or living in certain parts of the Middle East as well. I pay tax, but because I work in so many different countries, in an average year I'll go to about 38 different countries and I'll work in about 15 to 20 of those. So I'll usually be under the tax bracket in those countries, and I do a lot of work for IMG, which is a big, huge, one of the world's biggest event management companies and event organizers, and I get paid a lot through Dubai, and so there's no tax in Dubai, which is great.
Wow, I can barely figure out mine. So I'm sure you have a very skilled accountant.
It works out well. It is a lot more complicated in the US for whatever reason. So I'm lucky. My Irish and French passport has helped me a lot there.
Amazing. Yeah. I have gotten into Yoon Olsen's vlogs recently. Yes. So to my surprise, it was pretty cool to see you pop up in a recent vlog of his bachelor party part 2. It was insane. I mean, those videos that he put out were just, I watch his vlogs when I have like my coffee in the morning. Nice. So for me to be watching that and just like start off my day, I was like, what is his life? But you had a lot to do with the epicness of it. So first of all, how did you meet him? Because you know a lot of cool people, not only in extreme sports and travel, but YouTubers. So how'd you meet Yoon? And also tell me a little bit what it took to like prepare for something like that.
So it's funny, I met Yanni first. I was event managing this ski event in Obertown in the Austrian Alps, and she was there as an influencer, so I got to know Yanni first. Then I got to know Yoon probably about 6 months later on this event that I was managing called the Yacht Week, and a buddy called Leo was skippering his boat. I ended up, a friend of mine told me about him, so like, seems like a cool guy. Jumped on his boat, kind of co-skippered for a couple of days, got to know him. We connected pretty much straight away. And then I was in Monaco a couple of weeks later. I'm half French, so that's where the other half is from. So I went to visit him, we hung out. He has a house in Marbella in south of Spain. I travel there quite frequently, went to visit him there, and then since then we've connected all over the world. And he came on one of my trips to the Sahara Desert this New Year's, and
it looks sick.
So,
that was such a fun,
that was a
fun
good
experience.
time. But yeah, Yun's vlogs are just incredible, and a huge shout out to Marcus Valor for initially starting off with him, and for Benny for like just taking it to the most outrageous new level. Like to produce that every other day, the film quality and the image quality is just
it's
amazing.
So good.
Yeah,
it's so good. So how long did it take you to kind of like prepare those festivities? Because you do events, you know, we'll get into that in a minute. But when it has to do with your friend and you want to make it fun, action packed, but then like, you know, you had all those girls and like you had the Yanni 2.0, got the ball and chain.
I love dropping that in there, just literally dropping that in there. So I mean, Yun is one of the like, I like to think I'm busy, but he's ridiculous. The amount of proposals he gets every single day. The other thing you don't see about him is how hardworking he is. And like, he'll wake up at 6 or 7 a.m. He'll crush work emails for 5-6 hours and then start like the vlogging day. So he's super busy, and so he didn't think he had time for a bachelor party. Like, he was telling his brother, who's best man, it's like, listen, I won't have time. Like, you know, it's a shame, kind of somewhat like hoping he would, like maybe someone would step in and be like, dude, check yourself, like you're having a bachelor party. So yeah, a good friend of his who is an Olympic medalist from Korea just there, had planned this like super chilled northern Norway like getaway, just bit of skiing, surfing, the only place like in the Arctic where you can ski and surf pretty much the same day. And so we decided we wanted to do it as a surprise that he wouldn't know. We went through a whole bunch of different things of getting him like arrested by the police, put in a police cell, all of this. And we thought it'd be too obvious, you know, like stop for flying drones, you know. So it ended up that there's this thing called Russe. Now all the Norwegians would be like, no, that's not how you pronounce it. Sorry, this is like my spirit animal, this thing. It's so in Europe, in the US, I know it's different, but in Europe, like at the end of your 6 years of secondary of high school, you have big exams, and pretty much everything rides in those big exams. In Ireland, it does anyway. But leading up to those big exams in Norway, they have a month called Russe, where like all the 17, 18-year-olds go on this like wild like graduation binge of, they have a list of 100 things that they need to achieve, and some of them are like, you know, drink beer with like a tampon in your mouth, or like jump into like iceberg water, or do something with someone from the opposite sex in the woods, and you know, different things like that, like raunchy, wild, like crazy. The most beautiful thing about this is like some of these are in like small little towns, so getting around is not easy, is they have these minivans that have completely been gutted, like disco tables, like poles have been put in there, seats have been rearranged, and they get passed down every year to the next graduating year. And so they drive around for the month doing these activities. And it's like split the boys and the girls. They've like full one-piece uniforms. They get different badges for different achievements.
Is this before their exams?
No, like literally like.
So they go and get like slammed, and then they have to come back and take a test?
No, exactly. It's insane. So we managed to get 25 18-year-old Norwegian ladies to join us on this. I made the whole getting married, losing a good man to the married world, the whole ball and chain phrase came to mind, and I'd always had this idea of like trying to like physically show that and like really implement that on a bachelor party. And so that's where like the bowling ball and the chain, the ball and chain, like couldn't have worked out any better. So I initially got one made in the US, going through customs. It got taken off me because it was a weapon, and it was like, so that was the official Yanni 2.0. This actually should have been Yanni 3.0. So I got to London, very good friend of mine, he was awesome, drove me around London. We were using Facebook Marketplace, first time using it, found bowling balls for £50, found bowling balls 2 for £8. We're like done. So Franco drove us out there, picked up the ball, got a chain, like tried like sawing into it, like drilling into it. Didn't really work out as well. We broke his drill. Got on a flight the next morning to Lofoten in northern Norway in the Arctic Circle, where I met up with the rest of the guys. Jon was arriving late. He'd just done Red Bull Wings for Life, ran like 20 kilometers, then like gotten on 2 flights, driven 2 hours, got there at 1 o'clock in the morning, super tired. And then his vlogs will explain the rest. Like the girls jump out of them. We drove around for 4 hours doing these ridiculous things.
Good.
He had the ball and chain Yanni 2.0 attached to his leg.
After all that trouble you went through, now I know why you were like, okay, time to put back the ball and chain.
Take it.
That's so amazing. Yeah.
So, Sarah, we're hoping to have Yanni 2.0 with us at the wedding in Marbella next month, just like hanging from a tree so people like photo up with it.
That is amazing. Yeah, that wedding's gonna be beautiful. And so congrats on throwing an awesome bachelor party.
It was definitely
it was very entertaining.
It was a group effort.
Yeah. So tell me about the Adventure Factory.
The Adventure Factory, yes. So the Adventure Factory is, along with my business partner and best friend Mike Sabas, it's our baby. Obviously, both of us being very, very adventurous, very travel orientated, and always trying to push the envelope as much as possible. This was the beautiful alliance and coming together to create this. So it's an adventure travel company that we try and tick off people's bucket lists. So we travel to the world's most unique destinations, all edge of civilizations. So it's the likes of the Sahara Desert, the Himalaya Mountains, the Antarctic, the Congo jungle, the Amazon River. They're the ones we have been to or we're going to. And it's all about kind of opening up these like not forbidden places, but these places that people think they can't possibly go to. Like I said, the edge of civilization, and it's opening up the door to that. It's also curated in a way that it's kind of application based in a way that we interview people to come along to make sure they're the right fit within the group and that it's a nice, diverse, like multicultural, multi-sex, multi-gender array of people, so that people learn a lot from each other as well as the physical surroundings when they're there. Another thing is that we're very much, both Mike and I strive to be on a daily basis net contributors. So there's a big element of social good in each and every trip. So in the Amazon last year, we kind of rejuvenated a local football pitch, whereas before, when they scored a goal in one end, they would go in the Amazon jungle, they'd lose their ball. The other end, they would go in the Amazon River. So we bought them lawnmowers, weed whackers, new posts, nets, goals, jerseys, bibs, soccer balls, and donated tents and clothing to them as well. It's about giving back to the communities that we touch off, that we're honored and privileged to be able to access and to meet and integrate in. The Amazon, for example, we set up 10 villages within indigenous Amazonian communities.
Wow.
So it's
that is incredible. Cool. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Building something that obviously is such a unique experience for the travelers, but then you get to give back in such a meaningful way. That's really cool. These places that you go to, there's not necessarily, a ton of resorts to pick out. You're really creating experiences for people. So how did that idea form? And then how did you execute on it when there's not a lot who have come before? There's not really other itineraries that you can pick at. So, was that a part of the biggest challenge, finding out, where are you going to stay? What's something like fun and adventurous to do? How did that start? Did it take a while to form, actually form the itinerary? Yeah.
Well, Mike and I traveled down to the Amazon many years ago, and we took part in the world's longest raft race. And when we were down there, we were like, why haven't we been exposed to seeing about this? Or this is off the beaten trail. It's not like on your glossy brochures, or you don't see many YouTubers even covering it. So we were like, do you know what? We want all of our friends to come. And it's like, well, do you know what? We need to set up. I'm all about I love branding. So setting up a brand, building a company around this. And so we're like, okay, well, let's bring people down. Let's set up a company and start it in Iquitos, the world's most isolated town. There's no roads that go in or out. You can only fly in over the Amazon rainforest or on the Amazon River. And so let's start there. And then that's where the company grew from. And then we were like, okay, let's go to equally adventurous, if not more, the Himalayas, the Antarctic, the Sahara. But with the Amazon and curating and making that trip, we were down there already. Mike went on a second trip and pretty much like walking the streets, like touching base with people, seeing who's who, trying to like meet streetwise savvy people. And we had a contact down there. We worked with her. She had two people with her. She ended up not being the best person to work with, but the two guys, super local dudes, spoke a little bit of English, grafters, hard workers, and we're like, you know, you're our type of people, like super nice. And yeah, then they helped us like create this trip. So we raft 100 kilometers down the Amazon River, and we barbecue on like sand spits in the middle of the river, staying in this indigenous Amazonian communities. And on this trip, a friend of ours, we sent him off to get snacks. He ended up rescuing a 3-toed pygmy sloth from a black market. And
what?
So, yeah, no, and I know, and your reaction is the way most ladies react to like sloths. I was like, okay, yeah, cool, like sloths. Like beforehand, honestly, the second he turned around and he had this sloth in his arms, you fall immediately in love. A constant smile. And the thing about sloths is
So you just had a sloth hanging onto him after.
So you don't even have to hold it. The thing is, sloth's natural tendency is like on a tree, they would just like hold on to trees. They do that they sleep 20 hours a day just clinging onto trees. So if you hold it, it'll naturally come and like this slowly and just hold on to you. So you're walking around arms free with this sloth like perched inside your chest.
So what you're saying is I should get a sloth as a pet. Yes.
So this year, we're looking at something big on Kickstarter. It initially started off as a sloth conservation program. Mm-hmm. Now it's growing into something larger that could potentially be along the lines of a sloth conservation lodge. Wow. So I'll come back to you on that in the future.
And you know who you need to get as your spokesperson for that? Kristen Bell.
Yes.
Have you seen her Ellen video of her crying over the sloth?
So I've heard about it. I think I have seen it, but I didn't know that. Yeah, no, it's on our radar for sure. And then if we're doing the treehouse aspect, obviously Louis Cole with his love of tree houses, and there's quite a few people that I'm thinking of that we could get together as like as the grounding kind of forefathers of like awesome guys and girls and build something awesome. Like for me, we set up a charity after the earthquake in Nepal a couple of years ago. The charity called Adventures for Change. And our goal is to help. Like there's kind of three pillars for me that to be a net contributor that I personally need to hit, that I've come up with. It's like help humans, it's help animals, and it's help the earth, planet Earth. So with humans, we set up. We did a project called Operation Nepal with Adventures for Change, where we went to Nepal 2 days after the earthquake. We were the first international first responders on the ground, and we spent 7 days in search and rescue within Kathmandu, and it was a very, very, very grounding experience. Like working like 18, 20 hours a day, searching for survivors or for bodies, identifying bodies, and having had no experience in that, it kind of really gave us this eye-opening, like shocking, like shock through the system. It's like, hang on, like what are we doing? Like, yes, I'm going around, I'm having a great time, like I'm advancing myself, I'm upskilling, like I'm building myself as a human, but I realized there and then that that's a very selfish outlook, and I'm very privileged and I have a first world passport. I've a very incredible upbringing that I need to start giving back more. So that's where that side came in. The animal projects for the slots will hopefully take the animal side, and then looking at doing through the Adventure Factory a sailing expedition to the Antarctic, bringing a bunch of people, climate change specialists, WWF ambassadors, I don't know if you know Wim Hof, the Iceman. You need to look him up.
Okay, I will.
Yeah,
Noted.
I know there's a lot of people that might be listening to this that will know who he is. So he's a buddy of ours, and he wants to come along as well. And so just opening people's eyes up to what is actually going on out there. Like it's. I know there's a lot of people talking about it, but people need to stop listening and actually start acting on it, because it's a very scary thing that's happening to our planet.
And it's so easy being in our bubble. Because just me in New York, there's a lot of culture in New York, but at the same time, you get into your flow. And I have the ability to travel a lot, but it's always for business, you know? And so I think what you're doing is really cool because it's fun. There's a reason why people are there, but also there's so much meaning behind it. And so it's pretty cool. So you mentioned your upbringing. Raised in Ireland, right? Did you travel with your family? Where did this travel bug come from? How was it growing up in Ireland?
Absolutely. So I kind of guessed between Ireland and France. So my mother's French, so I was brought up half French. So I was raised kind of, I guess, the academic months in Dublin and the summer months in Nice in France during the summer holidays.
Nice.
I have a little sister who means everything to me. And so we grew up in this incredible, between a French and Irish family, in this beautiful kind of atmosphere. I'd been to every continent by the age of 16. So my parents, we traveled an awful lot. Like they definitely look at putting more money into travel than into physical items. So they whether they wanted to or not, they infected me with the travel bug.
That's
for
cool.
sure. So yeah, from there on out, I just any opportunity, playing Ryanair roulette, where on a Wednesday you'd like randomly pick one of the Ryanair destinations and you'd fly on a Friday night, first thing on the red eye back on the Monday, and do that many weekends during the month, and just the quest to go to every country in the world has now fueled that as well, whether I like to or not. Go to certain countries, I've committed to it, so I have to. So.
God, that is so sick. The people who I talk to who grow up in Europe, it does seem like there's more of a spirit of travel. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because I think flights from country to country are significantly cheaper, yes. But at the same time, in the States, you can drive 6 hours and be in a completely different place.
Yeah.
Have you done a lot of traveling?
The traveling, yeah.
The traveling. Have you done a lot of traveling in the United States? If so, like, are there any hidden gems that you would suggest for the U.S. audience out there to go check out?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I've been now at this stage, arguably to every U.S. major city.
Wow.
And yeah, no, I love the U.S. I've done road trips all over the U.S. And I love it here. I love it here. I really do. I've amazing friends on each coast, and to be honest, I said to myself that I need to try to come to the US less often. I came to the US 12 times last year.
Wow.
And I just
keep coming. There's great people.
I just enjoy it so much that I keep coming back. Little key hidden spots. I do love Nantucket Island.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Key West as well. I'm trying to keep away from, I mean, the major ones, like I love LA, I love New York, Boston and Chicago, but everyone knows them and they're so easy. I'm actually a fan, even though it's a funny place. I'm a fan of Palm Springs, just like chilling out. It's that close to LA. I really enjoy San Diego as well.
San Diego is beautiful. Yeah. The first time I ever went there, I was like, this is so close to LA, and how have I never visited? Yeah. I think that's a very underestimated city.
Yeah, 100%. Underrated. The proximity to Tijuana, which don't be scared to travel to Tijuana. It's awesome. And then the rest of Mexico for that as well. Like the airport, like you're flying through the skyscrapers to land in San Diego Airport. Like it's an awesome place. Yeah, but I'm a big fan of the US. Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I love California too. But New York just keeps bringing me back. Yeah, you know, New York is special. Yeah. So there's this interview show that I'm obsessed with. Have you ever watched Hot Ones? with
No.
Sean Evans. So it's basically where Sean asks questions to celebrities while eating hot wings. It's very entertaining. It's very
I love that
entertaining.
niche.
Yeah, but there's a segment on that show called like Explain That Gram, Explain That Instagram. And I was scrolling through your feed and there's a few questions I have about a couple Instagrams.
The old ones, the first post. Yeah.
I didn't go that far back.
The photo of the stir fry, questionable for sure.
So go creep his Instagram.
No, do not.
So there's a picture of you and Lionel Richie. And, you know, it says wrapping up another successful tour with the boss Lionel Richie in New Zealand, on to the next gig, Tulum, Mexico. So explain, Lionel Richie, are you helping him like tour?
So,
what?
Yeah, so a lot of what I do is I get asked a lot, like, what do you do? And there is a video in the making to try and explain that, because I kind of stumble over my words when I try to explain. I don't do one thing. I'm not like solely content creator. That's probably, the income from that is definitely at the bottom of the rank at the moment. I do a lot of different things, and working in the music industry is one of the things that takes up a lot of my time.
I had no idea. See that? Okay. That's amazing.
So it's and I love it. So it's predominantly, so last weekend I've just come from Boston. We produced a VIP for a festival called Boston Calling, and I'm in Australia probably 4 or 5 times a year, running the VIP department on music tours. So across Australia and New Zealand. So yeah, work with Lionel, who's an amazing guy. In the last year, we've done Lionel Richie, Queen, Guns N' Roses,
wow.
Katy Perry. We've done Hugh Jackman and Oprah before that.
Small names.
Yeah, small names.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, all people that touring with them and seeing how they interact with their fans, and it's just an amazing atmosphere to be around. I absolutely love it. Live entertainment and moving, and it keeps me. There's a fact that I only figured out recently, and I think you'll enjoy it. In the last 4.5 years, apart from the Rio Olympics, I've not been in one place more than 7 days. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, that the moving, the touring, staying in great places, eating great food definitely helps that.
Wow. Okay, so the last Instagram that caught my eye was you hosting Color Run in Singapore. And then I started looking more, and you have the Olympics, you have all of these events. So, like, of course, events is like a huge part of who you are, what you've been doing. But how do you get linked with people, like, to host Color Run? I saw a picture of you at the Olympics with a little, like, mic.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Have you always kind of been doing that?
Yeah, I guess I have. How I got into it, or how I get those gigs, is it's hard work. Mm-hmm. There's no substitute for hard work. It's like looking at, in a way, parts of the world that I want to work in and that I want to see. And I'd be like, okay, the Arab Games. Okay, I'm going to reach out. I'm like, okay, well, what do they need? Okay, it's like sports that I don't specialize in. Okay, well, I'll approach them as a producer, like for a sports presentation. I'll do that. Or for the Olympics, it was presenting. For the Paralympics, it was like wheelchair rugby and wheelchair basketball. I was announcing, and then also presenting on Rio 2016 TV. For Red Bull, for the Color Run, it's the same. For 2-3 years, I had a great gig with the Color Run. I toured pretty much the world and had separate contracts in the UK, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and Australia, emceeing Color Runs to crowds of 30,000 in some parts. And that was amazing. Everything I do, I only do it if it brings a smile to other people, or if it makes me happy. Like, life is too short not to be happy. So many people work 9-to-5 jobs and they live for the weekend, or they live for their like 6 weeks holidays, or in the US, they're 10 days holidays? Like, stop the podcast. Like, that blows my mind. Yeah. Life is way too short for that. So yeah, I only do the things that I really enjoy, and like being on the mic and giving energy to people and getting energy from them, and like just bouncing off people. Like, that's what I'm all about. So yeah, no, I strive to do that on a daily basis if I can, but definitely behind the microphone is something I really, really enjoy. Yeah.
That's one thing that you take away from your Instagram or YouTube, anything that you're in, is just Yes, he is enjoying life, and it's very like invigorating too, and it makes you think, okay, like what maybe one choice could I make today that like makes life just a little bit more fun, or like how can I step out and do something different?
Exactly, and not take yourself too seriously. Yeah, really. Not.
So speaking of that, there was a video of you and your friends on the top of Lion's Head in South Africa, just like dancing your face off. And it was so funny because I was watching this video and my first thought was, I would never do that. And you're like, you're standing on like a rock in front of everyone, just like giving it your all and dancing. And I was like, that is so fun. But I feel like I would never have the courage to just like go out there and get it like you were. It was awesome. It was an awesome video. Go check it out. But were you always just like a go-getter, just like have fun, not care what people think? Like, were you that kid that was just like, what?
Very, very much so. Yeah. When I was younger, like, I wasn't book smart. I was definitely more street smart. Like I would have been messing and like just having a laugh in school and like playing very serious rugby at the same time. So I was always like, the joker, like the kind of the class clown kind of thing. And the amount of times at parties, like people would turn around afterwards and be like, oh my God, like you were crazy last night. You were so drunk. Like I'd be on the roof, like sprinkling cereal, making it rain. And the thing about me is I don't drink. I never have. I've never been drunk in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, and being Irish, it makes it a little bit more interesting for sure. So I've always had that energy that maybe I would love the excuse like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I was a little bit tipsy. I wasn't thinking. Whereas no, everyone knows I'm sober like 24/7. So I would have liked that. But yeah, the as I call it kind of taking from Borat a little bit. The early morning Uber Disco dance is what it's called.
I love it.
That came from, and it's growing wings and developing it into something else. That came from just wanting to energize people and to get people up in the morning and to see nature in the most beautiful light, sunrise above the city in Cape Town. Oh my God,
stunning.
Like ridiculous, absolutely incredible. And also I do this one song only dance party to Peanut Butter Jelly by Galantis on a super loudspeaker on a soundbox. Have you heard of soundbox speakers?
I have not.
Oh my God, you need to check them out.
Okay.
Yeah, they're outrageous. And so with a soundbox speaker on my back and we climbed the mountain.
I was wondering what that was. So that was the speaker. Okay. Correct. So what's special about them? Are they super loud?
They are incredibly loud, incredibly portable, incredibly durable. And they just create parties there and then. Like good music, like with Louis brought it around, Africa Burn, bring it to Burning Man every year. And like it, like going back on what I was saying about people smiling, it puts a smile on people's faces. People absolutely adore it. Yeah, just so cool. Music like that. So yeah, that was the idea. And so now it's kind of growing into like, I want to do that in different cities around the world. And it's very non-commercial. It's just gathering people together, a bunch of creators like Chris Rogers came along, and just it was so much fun. And one of the guys was saying it was the best thing he's done in years. Like just the amount of energy, like-minded people dancing like no one's watching on top of a mountain for one song only, and watching the most incredible sunrise. It was just perfect.
So cool.
And so I've done it. I've ended up doing it for brands and different things, and now I'm kind of developing into like a kind of a human connection workshop that I'm working off to show how like strangers that interact with each other can have such a profound influence on that person's day, and through dancing and through human touch and things like that.
So sick. You mentioned holidays. So the French holiday or just European holiday. Yeah. People typically take off like 6 weeks at the end of the summer, right? Is that common across all European countries, or is it like just France? Or because I hear, you go to Paris in August and half the stuff is closed down. Is that synonymous with all countries?
No, that'd be synonymous with France for sure. Okay. Yeah, they have an incredible like social system that the government imposes that like most shops are closed on Sundays. That's just culturally. The 36 heures, the 36-hour rule is in certain jobs. You're limited by law to only work 36 hours so that you go home, spend time with your family. There's a law that's currently trying to be passed at the moment in France that employees in most jobs cannot access their emails, their work emails at the weekend, so that they're completely disconnected. They have to spend time with their kids and their family. So that's a very French thing. But otherwise, yeah, Irish people, like most Europeans, but especially Irish people, just love to travel. You'll spot paddies all over the world. Yeah.
That's cool. Selfish question. If I want to go visit France, maybe London, maybe some Ireland, what's the best time to go? The best balance of decent weather, but not super crowded.
For Ireland, I'd say May. Maybe most of Europe, I'd say May, because June to August is peak season prices.
I missed it. Dang it.
Unfortunately. But May, it's like there's availability, it's cheaper. And for some reason, the weather seems to be always good in Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is good to know. I know you probably hate this question, but let's talk about like your top 3 places and why. So maybe let's put together a little quick travel guide for people.
Yeah.
Top 3 places. Let's start with like your all-time, if I was in one place, I would be there.
It's funny. This is like picking your favorite child.
I know.
But I get asked so much that I've been forced into having an answer to this. My one place, I couldn't do one place, but I could do 2 places and flip-flop between them. And I think at this point in my life right now, it'd be LA and Bali. Yeah, for sure. It'd be between both. LA for the people and Bali for just the culture, the scenery, the people that go there. It's just an amazing place.
I've seen so many YouTubers going to Bali recently. So it seems like a place that definitely has a lot of eyes on it. You know, there's a lot of curiosity about it. Is that a place that's still very, not untouched, but you go there and I'm sure there's resorts and things, but are there certain cities that you would recommend in Bali it's a good balance of, yes, you know, there is maybe like a resort or 2, but you're still going to feel like a local. Yeah.
There are like the northern part of Bali where you be pushed to see many tourists. You can always go to Lombok, which is an island across from Bali, which is incredible. Gili Teas are a must if you're going to Bali. You can't miss those tiny little islands. Anywhere you go snorkeling, when you jump off the boat, you'll see turtles swimming around everywhere. It's gorgeous. But Bali is like, it's busy, but like you're on your scooter. It's so raw. It's so authentic. So like, I just love it. And yes, there's been an awful lot more people. It's become an awful lot more commercial recently, but that's something good for the local Balinese population as well.
So you run a business from the road, very much so. You know, you said you haven't been in one place for more than 7 days, which blows my mind. So how is it like running a business from the road? My biggest question too is reliable Wi-Fi. Is that an issue? Yeah.
So reliable Wi-Fi definitely is an issue when it comes to uploads. I'm lucky in that my business partner, Mike, he's pretty much on the road like 3/4 of the year, if not half the year. But it does for sure, Sarah, like poses challenges. And we've met that recently where, you know, you're super busy. I was touring with WWE for 2 weeks around Europe and needed to get work done at the same time for other stuff. And like, you're so busy with that and you're moving so much, you're exhausted, you just don't get that work done. Whereas if you did have that fixed base, it's much easier, and in my eyes, super easy then to be constructive, to be productive, like to get your stuff done. So it does pose challenges, but if the option was given to me, whether like to give up my lifestyle and to sit down and jam away and build a business, I would still pick what I'm doing now. The business might be like flourishing an awful lot more than it is, but I wouldn't have the lifestyle that I have now. And right now, it's just I struggle to stop smiling. Yeah.
That's the way you want to live life. That's so cool to hear. How did you meet your business partner?
We met on this thing called the Yacht Week, actually. Okay. It's this like sailing flotilla in different countries around the world, and like you're partying by day and you're sleeping on different islands every night in different bays on your yacht, and it's an amazing experience. And I met him there, and we shortly did the Balkan countries, 7 countries in 7 days. And so after an experience like that, you form a pretty tight bond.
That's so cool. Because I think a lot of people who either follow my stuff or watch things, they want to build something around content or maybe build a business. And a lot of that is finding the right person to do it with. Because if you are a creative, you might need a person who's more business savvy or vice versa. And so what type of person are you in that relationship? Or are you guys kind of both? I mean, like, what have you found makes it work?
It's a great question. We found that like splitting work and like playing to each other's strengths, and like I'd be on the creative front, like a lot of design, a lot of content, all that side, and like making sure that we have the right content across social medias, and when it comes to content creators on site and things like that, where he's run businesses before, so he knows from a back end, especially in the US, like the tax situation, the registering situation, and all that kind of stuff. So we share some tasks, but then we have the rest pretty split. Yeah,
that's cool. So you're constantly traveling. What do you do to relax? Do you watch Netflix? Do you watch YouTube videos? What is your thing? Or is your relaxing just like chilling on a yacht? Getting a tan.
Yeah, when I get to do that's for sure. Chilling on a yacht. But when I'm on a yacht, it's funny, I feel uncomfortable if I'm chilling because I'm usually skippering. So I'm in charge of this like 65 foot yacht and ensuring the safety of the crew and things like that. I don't relax an awful lot. I relax when I get to LA and I'm with family and friends over there, and I'm like chilling with the youngsters, like watching a movie or stuff like that. Like that's my downtime. Otherwise, like for me, it's like 110%, like full throttle. Like if I'm not productive, like pretty much 100% of the time, like I get uneasy. So I don't do a lot of chilling, but I love it that way. It's like there's too many things to see and do to sit still that I want to get up and go and do.
You'll sleep when you're dead.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Until you just like pass out, and then like
that's the way you should live life. You let your body tell you when you're done. You know?
Sure. I always end up like, for some reason, like Bangkok is a time I always sleep loads. And the flight back from South Africa to Europe, there in my mind, they're the two times that I'm always like completely like dead.
Does your family ever go on these crazy trips with you, or is your little sister involved at all? What do they think of all this?
Yeah, well, my little
crazy
sister,
Max.
My little sister Camille, she's awesome. She somewhat like grew up in my shadow because the name Rantz-McDonald, my surname, is pretty unique. So like, anyone that finds out her name is like, oh, you're Max's sister. And it's like, yeah, but no, I'm also my own person. Like going through school, she had a tough time with that. So she actually traveled around all the stands. So Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan. And she loved it. And one of her big things saying to me is like, oh, you've never been there, have you? And it's like, oh, no, I haven't.
She has that against you.
Yeah, she does. And I bring her on trips. Like for her birthday, I brought her to Thailand, and I was emceeing a colour run over there. So that was a great little one as well. And every year I bring my dad on a trip to a country that we haven't been to. So the two of us just go off and ride trains around and find some cool spots. So no, it's great. We're lucky. We travel a lot together, which is awesome. And then my mum and the rest of the family, we always meet up in France.
Yeah, which is not a bad place to meet up.
I'm definitely not.
I will say I've been to France once. I was only there for 2 days, and I only went to Paris. It was with a school trip in high school.
Nice.
And it just didn't do it justice because we were there for such a short amount of time. We were expected to see Versailles in like 2 hours.
Oh.
It was just like boom, 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 boom. It was so crazy. And so much of what I've heard of France is like, yes, Paris is great, but like visit the countryside, like get a car, go explore. And so that is the one thing on like the highest thing on my list actually is France.
Well, let me know if and when you're planning it, because I have a lot of spots for you to hit up, especially like Côte d'Azur, which is like down at the south of France. Yeah. Oh my God, it's gorgeous.
I need to make it happen.
It's gorgeous.
So if people feel stuck out there and they're like, I want to travel, it's so cool to see people doing all of these things, but whether it's their job that's holding them back or maybe it's money, I think there is a way to travel cheap, but it still takes that extra step of like, I'm taking a week off, I'm buying that $400 plane ticket or something. What's something encouraging you could say to them, or maybe some practical advice for them to just like take that step? Why is it worth it, and how?
Yeah. I think the biggest one is finance, is being able to like afford it. So start small. If you don't have the money, or if you're young, you haven't earned money yet, start small. Like go on a camping trip. Okay, that if you're not into camping, okay, go to a city. Like get a Greyhound bus a couple of hours to a city. Stay in a hostel. I live in hostels. Hostels are the best. They're the cheapest way to travel. It's where you see the most amount of like colorful people. You learn all the tricks of the trade. You become super street smart when you're in hostels. Whereas if you go to hotels, you're in your hotel room, you don't socialize with any other hotel guests. In hostels, it's all this communal kind of space where everyone hangs out if they're not in their dorm room. You're finding out about like the last hostel that someone's been to. Is like, okay, well, I want to go there. When I went to Central America, I booked an inbound flight, didn't plan anything, and my whole trip was mapped by the people I met along the way.
That's incredible.
And so stay in hostels. It's like, $8 a night in some places, it's super cheap. You can wash your clothes there. They have cheap food, like just buy like baguettes, buy like just, food in a supermarket, make it yourself. You can travel so cheap if you want. Then when it comes to airfares, if you have your finger on the button and you're constantly checking airfares, Skyscanner, Momondo, Google Flights, skip legs, like there's so many of those that if you play off each other and the right time of the year to the right place with like layovers that you don't mind and you're flexible, you will find cheap flights for sure. Yeah.
Those are some good tips. You said that you were considered more street smart than book smart.
Yeah.
So how was it growing up in school? What were there certain insecurities that came out of that in terms of, okay, you don't meet this checklist, so in my eyes, you need to do better? Because I have a little brother who struggled with dyslexia, and he's such a smart dude. I mean, he is so smart. But according to school, according to these certain standards that they hold everyone to, he wasn't smart. Did you kind of struggle with that? And is that kind of something that has led you to the life that you're living?
Very much so. So I'm dyslexic as well. I was pretty badly dyslexic when I was younger. I went to a special dyslexic school as well. So like, spellings, reading, memorizing how to spell words, that I struggled with a lot. And even up to today, like there's certain words that I won't like send in a message without looking up because I want to make sure I don't get it wrong. And so that was kind of tough, and I always like fun loving anyway, so I'd always like have a bit of banter, have a bit of crack with the teachers, which wouldn't have been like interpreted the right way from them. But I was very serious by rugby. I ended up playing professional rugby down the line, so like I was training and playing 8 days a week, so all of that definitely didn't help my academic side of things. But there's definitely like, if you're not academic, and I gave a talk on this recently in LA. If you're not academic, like there's two ways to skin a cat. Like don't worry about that. Like I got into college, but I got into the lowest possible course I could get in to get into the college I wanted. I got to know the right people. I worked a system, and I got into a course that like people that were much smarter, book smart than me, couldn't get in, but I got in through the means that I knew. And so there's always ways like to get in, to get jobs, like being smart, being cunning, as opposed to like being that like meticulous nerd that like knows how to like regurgitate information.
Exactly. Yeah. That saying, I'm from Texas. So the whole saying of there's, more than one way to skin a cat. Yeah. That is a very familiar saying for me. The accent comes out. I love it. So what are some projects that you are super excited about that people should check out, be along for the journey? Kicking things back off on YouTube. I'm very excited about. Cool. That's something that I'm going to I'm looking for an editor as well to help me along those lines. Email Max, guys. Yeah. Anyone listening, hit me up on Instagram, DM me, because I do need help. I've like terabytes of hard drives, terabytes of what I
what I think is like awesome content that I need to get out there. This potential slot sanctuary, which I can't talk about too much now, but yeah, I'm very excited about that coming up for sure. There's a couple of countries that I'm planning on hitting in Western Africa, which is deemed as the hardest place to travel in the world. Dangerous, most disease.
What are those countries?
So we're talking about the Ivory Coast. We're talking about Nigeria. We're talking about Togo. All the nice Gambia, the nice small ones, and Ghana. Doing that. Launching a trip called Himalaya Hiatus with the Adventure Factory. So that's going to be very exciting over Thanksgiving in Nepal. So going back to Nepal, which is going to be great. I want to get myself to the Seed Vault in Svalbard.
What is that?
Oh yeah, the Seed Vault is this incredible building built deep into the ground in Svalbard, which is high up in the Arctic. It's owned by a couple of different countries. And every single seed in the world, there's a couple of them, is stored in there. That if there is an apocalypse, humanity can be restarted. Like the reset button is in the Seed Vault. Yeah, you need to check it out.
Oh, that is so cool. Yeah. Well, I just talking to you for an hour am so inspired. I'm like, okay, where's my next plane ticket gonna be? I mean, I'm going to LA soon.
You're going to be seeing us, doing some trips together.
I'll make some content for you.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds good.
Make sure to check out Max, guys, in the show notes down below or the description if you're watching this on YouTube. Check out Instagram, YouTube. Are you on the Twitters?
All the good stuff. I'm not on Twitter.
Oh, Twitter is where it's at.
Oh no, everyone keeps saying that. I feel that I wouldn't do justice, and if I spread myself out that much,
you have to be selective with social media. That's good. No, that's good. So check out his links in the description below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. There's a new podcast every single Monday. The Creative Exchange. Be here. iTunes, Google Play, YouTube. Until next time, guys, stay peachy. Max, thanks for being on.
Thank you so much for having me. Awesome.
Awesome.